Many English learners believe that losing motivation means they are failing. But this belief is not true. Motivation is not a straight line. It moves up and down, just like energy, mood, and focus. Understanding this simple truth can completely change how you feel about learning English. At the beginning, motivation is usually high. Everything feels new and exciting. You imagine yourself speaking English confidently. You feel inspired. But after some time, progress feels slower. You start to notice your mistakes. You compare yourself to others. Motivation begins to fade. This does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means you are learning. Language learning is not fast because the brain needs time to change. When you learn English, you are building new pathways in your mind. These pathways grow slowly, quietly, and invisibly. You cannot see them every day, but they are forming. Many learners lose motivation because they expect fast results. They think, I study every day, so I should speak fluently by now. When this does not happen, frustration appears. Frustration turns into doubt. Doubt turns into quitting. But slow progress is real progress. Think about how children learn language. They listen for months before they speak clearly. They repeat simple words again and again. No one tells them they are slow. No one says they are failing. Learning English as an adult follows the same natural process. Psychologically, motivation fades when pressure increases. When you tell yourself, I must be fluent soon, you create stress. Stress blocks learning. The brain learns best when it feels safe and relaxed. Slow English podcasts remove this pressure. When English is slow and clear, your mind can rest. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to listen and stay present. Another reason motivation fades is comparison. You see others speaking better English. You watch videos of fluent speakers. You feel behind. But comparison hides the truth. You do not see how long they practiced. You do not see their mistakes. You only see the result. Your journey is different. Your pace is different. And that is okay. Philosophically, learning English is not about reaching a finish line. It is about becoming comfortable with the process. When you accept that progress is slow, you stop fighting it. And when you stop fighting, motivation returns naturally. Understanding replaces frustration. Motivation also fades when learners try to do too much. Long study hours, difficult grammar, hard vocabulary. This overload tires the brain. The mind wants rest, not more pressure. Easy podcasts create balance. Short listening sessions, simple sentences, familiar topics. This tells your brain, I can do this. And when the brain believes something is possible, motivation grows. Every time you understand a sentence without translating, that is progress. Every time you repeat a sentence clearly, that is progress. These small moments matter. The brain needs evidence, not promises. Motivation grows when you see proof that learning is working. Slow listening gives you that proof daily. It is also important to forgive yourself. Some days you will feel tired. Some days you will not practice. This does not erase your progress. Learning continues even during rest. When you stop judging yourself, learning becomes lighter. Understanding why motivation fades gives you power. You stop asking, what is wrong with me? And start saying, this is part of the process. And once you accept that, you stop quitting. You continue calmly. You continue patiently. You continue slowly. Because fluency is not built by force. It is built by understanding, kindness to yourself, and steady practice. And when motivation fades again, and it will, you will not panic. You will recognize it. You will stay. That is how real progress begins. Once you understand that motivation naturally rises and falls, the next step is learning how to build motivation again, not through pressure but through small daily wins. Motivation does not come from big goals. It comes from small, successful actions that you repeat every day. Many learners believe motivation must come first and then practice will follow. But the truth is the opposite. Action creates motivation. When you do something small and finish it successfully, your brain feels good. That good feeling encourages you to continue. This is why small daily practice is so powerful. A slow English podcast is designed to give you these small wins. You listen to short, simple sentences. You understand them. You repeat them. Each step is manageable. Nothing feels too hard. Your brain says, I can do this. Psychologically, the brain loves completion. When you finish a small task, your brain releases a sense of reward. This reward builds confidence. Confidence builds motivation, and motivation makes practice easier the next day. Small wins are more important than long study hours. Listening for 10 minutes every day is better than studying for 2 hours once a week. Daily practice creates continuity. Continuity builds habits. Habits protect motivation. Slow listening helps you notice progress that you might otherwise miss. You begin to recognize words more quickly. You understand sentences without translating. You repeat phrases more smoothly. These changes are subtle, but they are signs of real growth. When practice is easy, you stop avoiding it. You no longer feel fear before listening. Fear is one of the biggest enemies of motivation. Easy practice removes fear and replaces it with comfort. Shadowing also plays a key role in building daily wins. When you repeat sentences out loud, you hear your own progress. Your pronunciation improves, your rhythm improves. Your voice becomes more confident. Speaking no longer feels strange. Many learners wait for motivation to return before they practice. But motivation is not something you wait for. It is something you build. Every small practice session adds one brick. Over time, those bricks become a strong foundation. There is also a philosophical lesson here. Big change comes from small actions done consistently. This is true in language learning and in life. When you stop chasing fast results and start respecting small progress, motivation becomes stable. Slow podcasts are powerful because they fit into real life. You can listen while walking, resting, or relaxing. English stops feeling like hard work. It becomes part of your day. When learning feels natural, motivation stays longer. Small wins also reduce self-doubt. When you practice daily and see improvement, negative thoughts lose power. You stop thinking, I'm bad at English. You start thinking, I'm improving. This change in mindset is important. Motivation grows when your inner voice becomes kinder. Encouragement works better than criticism. Daily practice also creates momentum. When you practice today, tomorrow feels easier. When you skip many days, returning feels hard. Small daily wins keep the door open. You do not need perfect days. You need consistent days. Even 5 minutes of listening is enough. Progress does not demand perfection. It demands presence. Over time, these small wins create trust in yourself. You begin to trust that you will continue, even when motivation is low. This trust is stronger than excitement. Eventually, you realize something important. You no longer rely on motivation. You rely on habit, and habit is quiet, stable, and powerful. So focus on today. Listen slowly, repeat calmly, finish one small session. That is enough. Motivation will follow. And when it does, it will stay, because it is built on success, not pressure. One of the biggest reasons people lose motivation while learning English is pressure. pressure to speak perfectly, pressure to understand everything, pressure to be fluent quickly. When pressure grows, enjoyment disappears. And when enjoyment disappears, motivation fades. Learning a language should not feel like a test. It should feel like a conversation with yourself. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes. They think mistakes mean failure. But mistakes are not failure. They are feedback. They show you where learning is happening. Without mistakes, progress is impossible. Slow English practice helps remove this fear. When the language is slow and clear, your brain has time to relax. Relaxation is important because the brain learns best when it feels safe. When you feel safe, you remember more, you understand more, you speak more. Fear blocks the mind. When you are afraid, your body enters a stress response. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your thoughts become fast. In this state, speaking is difficult. Even words you know disappear. Easy podcasts change this experience. They create a calm space where there is no judgment. You can pause, you can repeat, you can listen again. There is no one watching you. There is no pressure to perform. Shadowing in a slow and gentle way also reduces fear. When you speak at the same time as the speaker, you are not alone. You are supported by the rhythm of the voice. This support gives you courage. Psychologically, confidence grows when fear decreases. When you realize that nothing bad happens if you make a mistake, your mind opens. You stop protecting yourself. You start experimenting, and experimentation leads to growth. Many learners push themselves too hard. They choose difficult content. They try to sound perfect. This creates exhaustion. Motivation cannot survive in exhaustion. Learning without pressure means accepting your current level. It means saying, "This is where I am, and that is okay." Acceptance removes inner conflict. When the mind stops fighting itself, energy returns. Slow English is not about being slow forever. It is about building a strong foundation. When the foundation is strong, speed comes naturally. But if the foundation is weak, speed creates anxiety. There is also a philosophical truth here. Growth happens when we are kind to ourselves. Harshness creates resistance. Kindness creates openness. When you treat yourself as a learner, not a judge, learning becomes easier. Easy podcasts help you enjoy English again. Enjoyment is a powerful motivator. When you enjoy something, you return to it naturally. You do not need discipline. You do not need force. Over time, pressure-free practice changes how you see English. It stops being something scary. It becomes familiar, and familiarity builds confidence. You may notice that you start speaking without thinking too much. You may notice that you understand more than before. These changes happen quietly. They happen because fear is no longer blocking your progress. Another important point is rest. Learning does not happen only during practice. It also happens during rest. When you listen calmly and then relax, your brain organizes what it learned. Pressure interrupts this process, so give yourself permission to be slow. Give yourself permission to repeat. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. Learning English is not a race, it is a journey. And journeys are meant to be experienced, not rushed. When you remove pressure, you create space. And in that space, motivation can breathe. Stay gentle, stay patient, stay consistent. English will grow naturally. When fear leaves, learning stays. Long-term motivation does not come from strong emotions. It comes from habits. When learning English depends only on motivation, it becomes unstable. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you feel tired. but habits continue even when motivation is low. This is why turning English into a daily habit is the most powerful way to learn without losing motivation. A habit does not require energy, it requires routine. When something becomes part of your day, your brain no longer argues with it. You do not ask, "Should I do this?" You simply do it. Slow English podcasts are perfect for habit building. They are easy to start. You do not need books, notes, or preparation. You press play, you listen, you repeat. This simplicity removes resistance. Many learners think studying means sitting at a desk for a long time, but real learning fits into real life. You can listen while walking, cooking, resting, or traveling. English becomes part of your environment, not a separate task. Psychologically, habits reduce stress. When practice is predictable, the brain feels safe. Safety creates consistency. Consistency creates progress. At first, the habit may feel small, 10 minutes of listening, a few sentences of shadowing, but small habits grow strong roots. Over time, these roots hold your motivation steady. Another important point is identity. When you practice daily, even briefly, you start seeing yourself as an English learner. This identity matters. People act in ways that match their identity. When English becomes something you do, it becomes someone you are. Habits also protect you from quitting. When learning depends on motivation, quitting is easy. When learning depends on habit, stopping feels uncomfortable. This discomfort keeps you going. Slow podcasts help because they are forgiving. If you miss a day, you return easily. There is no pressure to catch up. You simply continue. This flexibility keeps the habit alive. There is a deep lesson here. Progress does not come from intensity. It comes from continuity. 10 calm minutes every day is more powerful than one long, stressful session. Over time, your brain begins to expect English. You reach for it naturally. You feel something missing when you skip practice. This is the sign of a true habit. Philosophically, habits free the mind. When learning becomes automatic, you stop thinking about effort. You focus on experience. You enjoy listening. You enjoy understanding. You enjoy speaking. Easy podcasts also support emotional balance. They do not demand perfection. They invite presence. Presence keeps the habit gentle and sustainable. As weeks pass, you will notice something important. Motivation becomes less important. You no longer need to feel excited to practice. You practice because it is part of your day. And one day, you will realize that English is no longer something you are trying to learn. It is something you live with. This is how people succeed long-term, not through force but through habit. So choose simplicity, choose consistency, choose kindness to yourself. Let English enter your life quietly, one calm day at a time. Because when learning becomes a habit, motivation is no longer fragile. It becomes natural.